And the technique is not so difficult. I mean, it's pretty similar to the big swing. There's some subtle adjustments which we'll go into, but the major feature is learning to control your distance.
Right, and a couple of things that I do which might help the viewers is that, in there, as you say, there are some minor changes, but really a few things that I do is I normally just choke down on the club a little bit.
Give you a bit more control.
Right, give me a little. I'm not looking for distance here, as you say. I'm looking to control the distance. I'm not trying to hit the ball a long way. I'm going to choke down a little bit on it. I'm going to stand a little narrower and a little more open than I would normally on a wedge shot, say, a full wedge shot. Yeah. And then one of the things I'm going to do is I'm trying to control the speed of the club head with my upper body. I don't have to hit it too far, and I don't want to use my lower body, my legs and my hips too much. It's just there for support. That's why I'm standing as narrow as I am. Just going to use the shoulders and the arms and let the club head swing nice and freely.
How about your grip pressure and weight distribution?
Well, on this shot, David, I'll probably just hold the club a little lighter than I normally would, just to keep it nice and smooth and so I don't get too jerky on it. And with my weight distribution, I'll probably have a little more weight on the left side, probably about 60-40. Again, I'm not trying to get a big turn or anything. I'm just trying to control the distance that I'm going to hit it.
Okay. Right, so we've got a 60-yarder here. Go ahead and hit a shot. Oh, you just got inside me there.
That's $1 to me, huh?
That's it. So listen, just make a swing, say, for a 45-yarder.
Okay, so on my 60, I'd be back in here. On my 40-yarder, I'm just going to be a little shorter, but much the same kind of swing, a little softer.
A little softer motion with your body. In fact, well, let's go up and hit a couple of those shorter shots.
Okay.
You know, the whole key, really, when you get around the greens, to have the confidence so you can actually visualize the shot before you hit it. But having practiced enough, you've got that feel. It's not something you have to think in terms of, oh, I've got to hit this hard or I've got to hit it soft.
Well, that's the whole idea, and it's a picture that you get from practicing. You know, you can't expect someone to go out there and haven't played for a while or something and expect to hit these kind of shots, which are really your premium shots on scoring. Just make it, you know, you can hit the ball quite badly, but if you're good in this area, you're going to turn a bad score into a good score.
I know you use a 60-degree wedge. This is very popular amongst the tour players now, the third wedge, as it's called.
Okay, you can see with the 60 that I've tried to get the same amount of bounce as I do with the 56 here.
Right, so you can pretty much make the same swing as you were back there with a 60-yarder. From here, and the ball's not going to go as far, obviously, with a 60-degree more loft on it.
That's right, it's going to stop a lot quicker, too.
Much softer flight. I would say you're probably going to make the same swing that you did from 60 yards with the 56-degree sand wedge.
The same principles apply that I used on the 60-yard shot here. I'm going to choke down a little bit, nice and light grip pressure, stand a little open, not 2 feet about, 6-8 inches apart, nice and relaxed with the forearms. And then one thing I'm going to try and do, Dave, is just take it back nice and low and smooth. Any kind of jerky motion that you have early on here will lead to either stubbing the chip or hitting it thin.
There's a very shallow divot. I mean, you're really just clipping it, aren't you? You're not really taking much of a divot.
Any time that the club digs into the ground, it's going to slow the club head down, and that's going to make it harder for you to control your distances.
Right.
All right, let's see if we can get another one close here. Well, there's a spin.
I recall when you broke the course record at Augusta a few years ago and shot 63, that you were pretty successful with your wedge, weren't you?
Really strange day for me, because normally I hit all the par 5s in 2, or most of them at Augusta in 2, and that day I didn't hit one of them. And the strength of my game was from this distance in. So that goes to show you don't have to hit the ball great all the time if you work hard from this distance.
Right, and we have to add that, so you birdied all 4 of the par 5s, so it's not necessary to hit every par 5 and 2 at Augusta to
Not if you use these clubs well.
All right, well, let's go up to the shorter one, the 30-yarder, shall we?
The only variation I have on this distance shot opposed to the other two, Dave, is that I come down the grip a little bit more.
Okay, this is for control, obviously.
Control, and also I'm going to slow my shoulders down a little bit. I obviously don't want to hit it as hard as the other shots. There's a little more finesse involved here.
But you're still, to all intents and purposes, making the same swing, just turning your chest through the shot.
Absolutely.
Okay, come on, I think we should play for lunch here, Nick. Come on, we haven't had any competition since we were juniors, so let's go for it.
Well, I can remember having a few lunches with you in the past, Dave, so... Okay, just nice and smooth. There you go.
You must be hungry.
That could be good for a hamburger or two.
Just remember, I haven't had a lot of practice, so.
No excuses, please. One thing you've got to remember, Dave, is you've got to hit the 60 degree a little harder than you would normally the 56 degree.
Yeah, it just takes a little getting used to, doesn't it, the 60?
Oh, well,
that's close.
Don't feel too bad. You haven't practiced as much as I have recently.
Okay.
I'll have a nice bottle of champagne or something with that sandwich. Well, David, that's a shot that we see a lot of good players hit when you don't have a lot of green to work with and you need to hit a high, soft shot. A lot of guys get very steep with the divot and the ball just doesn't come out in the same distance every time.
What you need really from this distance is almost like delicate aggression. Obviously, the club's got to be accelerating, but at the same time, the ball doesn't want to go too far. And I think the big thing that you see with so many players, good players especially with these little delicate ones, that they get too steep on it because the club face is too close. In other words, the leading edge digs in, and as a result, they get this deep divot of sand. The key is to take a nice shallow cut of sand. If you watch all the great bunker players, they're soft with their hands, and they take a nice shallow divot, not this big, deep thing.
And use the bounce on the back of the club.
Using the bounce, right, because what happens is the leading edge digs this way instead of the back of the club bouncing through and taking a nice shallow cut. So the big key is to make sure we can get the face open and then release it without the face closing.
And a lot of the times when you want to put a little bit of spin on the ball, which is what you want on a shot like this, the shallower you get, the more spin you're going to get on it.
Precisely. All right, so let's see the setup position. So obviously you're going to be a little bit open to it, right? Face a little open, and how you feel about, what, 30 degrees left maybe?
Yeah, about 25, 30 degrees left of the target.
Okay, now, let's see what the big key is.
When I take the club back, I like to take it back nice and low and then really open the club face here. And it's almost like we've worked on getting a little bit of sand on the club face here and then making sure that it's tossed over the shoulder here so you feel that you're opening that club face.
Right, just swing it back there because this is important to note. You can see how open the face is at this point. It's like the heel, or the socket, is pointing at the sky. We can see right here, this corner bit of the club points right up at the sky. So what we don't want to see is this. If that club face gets closed, it's going to come down very steep. By having it open and rotating it, so you swing it back on your body line and rotate the club, as you release it now, the face stays square, and I'm sure you feel, as many other players do, that there's quite a bit of right hand and right arm in this shot.
Right, and I'm trying to keep the face as square to my target as long as possible.
All right. Okay, well, let's, why don't you hit that little, work on that little drill we work on just with the one hand only, okay? Right, this is an excellent drill. It takes a bit of practice, but really gives you the feeling of the face being open, rotating it open, and really using a lot of right hand in the shot. Now, there's a whole different sound in that shot, Nick. I mean, I always maintain you can hear a good bunker shot. There's that little spanking sound rather than that big thud that we heard earlier.
Right, and you can definitely feel when you hit the shot that the club slides and skids underneath the ball. It doesn't dig and slow down. As I was explaining earlier, I always feel that the club face is an extension of my right hand, and I try to feel that my right hand's just working under and holding the club in the open position.
Okay, right, let's hit one more, and with a normal grip. Oh, that's nipped beautifully there. You can see how softly it came out.
And
it's a little bit of run, and look at the depth of that divot.
Much shallower.
You know, we could bury a dog in the other one.
So let's go through it here. Standing a little open, about 25, 30 degrees to my target. Got the club face nice and open. I'm going to take the club back on my body line and rotate the club face open here. Work it down with the right hand, back to underneath the ball, and then hold it open.
Right, and pretty much you keep your feet in the sand, don't you?
Yeah, very, very quiet with the lower body. This is all an arm and a shoulder, arms and shoulder swing.